Have you ever wondered what it takes to really just get life completely, to live it to its fullest? Well, we've got a guy who thinks he's narrowed it down to 7 essential things that we should know, and he's going to help us learn at least some of them to really live life to the fullest, to be fully alive, as you like to call it. I want to introduce you to Robert Taylor. It's good to have you here on the show.
Wonderful to be here, Stephanie. Thank you.
You've written this book right here. It's A New Way to Be Human, 7 Spiritual Pathways to Becoming Fully Alive. I have to kind of put that question out there. What does it mean in your world to be fully alive?
Well, you know, I think so many of us live with things that keep us constrained. Perhaps the way we've been brought up, perhaps we don't believe we're good enough, perhaps we just don't believe in our own magnificence or our own power and potential. And so we find ourselves kind of clutching at life and holding on to some things that just kind of get us through the day. And I suggest that life invites us into a much more fulsome, much richer experience of life in which we become more fully alive. And
okay. Define to me, in a day in the life of Robert, what, like one little example of what makes you feel like, yeah, I'm fully alive today. Like, what would one little idiosyncrasy or one little circumstance be?
Okay, I'll tell you a story that I actually tell in the book. I woke up on, for those of your listeners who know Seattle, they'll know that it's gray and cloudy for about 9 months of the year. And I woke up very sort of unusual for me, because I've got a normally very sort of sunny personality, and I'm engaged, and I get up raring to go. But I woke up one morning, and I just had a torrent of bad things come out of my mouth. I mean, the day was going to be a nightmare.
Right.
And my spouse said to me, "Wow, really? So you're going to create a little sunshine today?" And, you know, it was like this aha moment. And it took me back to what I really talk about in the book, and which is how I live my life most of the time.
Most of the time.
Which is, how do I make choices? Because our lives are not just sort of random things that happen. But we do have some control, and how we position ourselves, how we think about the day, the kind of choices that we're going to make, who we're going to be aware of, how we're going to choose to interact. Are we going to be kind today? Are we going to find delight?
I'm hearing choices, but along with the choices, you specifically identify 7 pathways to living this way. What are they? Let's kind of, in layman's terms, if you will.
Yes, the first one is knowing the power of your story.
Okay.
The second is that there are risky invitations, things that just come along and interrupt the flow of your life, and they're inviting you normally to some new place of growth.
Okay.
I talk about moving beyond enclosures. We each have things that keep us from our fullest self, and they're often things that we don't even think about. So I talk about how to identify those, how to step beyond them.
Well, you also talk about, because I kind of perused through the book a little bit, you talk about kind of those, I like how you described it as a holy surprise.
Yeah. Well, the holy surprises are really about finding joy and delight, you know. I mean, I think so often you see a sort of a book like this or a self-help book, and you think, oh my gosh, it's all this work I've got to do.
Totally.
And, you know, there is work that we do, and it comes in the choices that I write about, and those things are transformative, and they change our lives forever. But I say that one of those 7 things is finding joy and wonder and delight in every day.
Okay, but here's the thing. Robert, let's call a spade a spade.
All right.
Finding joy and delight in everything and every day is tough when you run into people that are like, they're emotional vampires, or they're just people that you just, just don't.
Absolutely.
If they could walk to the ends of the earth, not over it, but to the ends, and then you could live your life, you'd feel a lot better.
Yes.
We have those people in our life. So what do you do with that? How do you find the holy surprise in that?
Okay, so 2 things about that. One, I'm not suggesting is that we're in a state of constant joy and delight all the time.
Okay.
But I talk a lot in the book about what to do with those toxic people.
Right.
They have life-draining negative energy, and that is not good for us for being alive. And we can fix them. And we need to get over the notion that we can fix others of their toxicity. So I talk about practices of actually detaching, which is not about anger and saying, oh, you're a terrible person, you know, go away. But it's actually wishing the best for the person, holding them in love, and saying, I hope at some point that our lives reconnect. So in terms of just day-to-day stuff, I mean, you know, I talk a lot in this chapter on delight and joy about feasting. And now I love to cook, and I'm not suggesting that
We've got a great ahi tuna taco recipe for you.
I am on. Can I get to taste it?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. I'm hungry now. But I love to cook, and I love to think about who's gathered around my table, because you never know what's actually going to happen when you're intentional and mindful about who's coming. But that's also it takes a lot of work. Most of us have very busy lives.
Sure.
So I suggest throughout the book, these pathways are about ordinary experiences. And so, I say, so I'm going to have coffee with Stephanie today, and we're going to go...
That would be the best decision
I would
ever.
love that.
Just saying.
You're on, right after the show. So part of that is an intentionality and a mindfulness about choices. I can go and sit with you and be busy texting on my phone and basically be saying to you, boy, I'm a really important person, and,
right.
Because that's what we're communicating. Or I can say, there are really not crises going on at this moment, and I'm actually going to be totally present with Stephanie for 20 minutes, and we are going to have a feast of those 20 minutes.
Okay. Intentional connections.
Yes.
And yeah, I can see where you're going with this.
And knowing the power of your own
choices,
story.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, lots of great things to really delve into. And in fact, if you would like to spend just a couple minutes being intentional and connect, sans the texting. Apparently, this is not something Robert wants you to be doing while you're. Maybe a picture would be okay.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, you can get to know him a little bit. Have him sign a copy of a book. He's going to be out at Desert Ridge Barnes & Noble on June 6th. That's 7 o'clock, and make sure you make some time for him. And texting not allowed. Picture, yes.
I like when he said, "Are you going to create a little sunshine in your life today?"
Oh,
I like
yeah,
it.
she's going to throw that
I
in my
like
face
that
a
one.
lot.
All right,
Robert.
thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you. That was wonderful.
Hey, the doctor is in the house, and today he is taking your questions about fibromyalgia, and he's answering them live on the air. We like Dr. Bigham when he's here. Hey, if you want your question answered, email us right now. Just head to sonoranliving.com and